Hi there, and welcome to Wealth Unplugged Live for another week. It's Friday morning in Sydney where I am, and I do these live Google Hangouts every Friday morning, which if you're in the US, it's Thursday afternoon for you. So I'm Barbara Turley, founder of Energize Wealth and creator of the Wealth Success Map. So I decided to do these Hangouts every Friday because, sometimes people like me produce a lot of content every week on my website, Energize Wealth. And sometimes you have burning questions that you really want to ask me. And I had a lot of people come to me with different questions and email me. And I thought, why not do this live online? And we can all get together once a week and we can get to the bottom of some of your questions. So for the last few weeks, we've been doing this Wealth Blocks of Women series. And any of you who have joined on some of the previous Hangouts, you'll know that we've delved into the wealth block of I'm not into money. The I'm not into money wealth block, the wealth block of fear around money, of confusion and overwhelm when it comes to money, or trust around money. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat this morning. So this morning we're going to talk about the 9th wealth block of this series. We've got 10 wealth blocks of women, and today we're on wealth block number 9. And wealth block number 9 is the classic one. If I just had more money, I would manage it better. Now, who of you out there have had that wealth block? And you just think, of course I can't manage my money because I don't have enough of it. So we all feel like that, trust me. But what I want to talk about today with this particular wealth block, this wealth block is very much tied up with wealth block number 1, actually, which was the fear wealth block, and the confusion and overwhelm one as well, where it allows us to relinquish all responsibility for our own financial lives. So when we say to ourselves, well, of course I can't manage my money better because I don't have enough, it brings up all these fears and these shame and guilt and maybe a bit of anger or resentment, all these emotions around money, which are never good for attracting more of it. And it means that you just push the problem away. Now, as we know, when you push a problem away, it tends to just grow and the problem just gets bigger. So ignoring the problem is definitely not the solution. The other thing I want to say on this topic is that we always look at people who are very wealthy. So celebrities, millionaires, we look at them and we think, well, of course their life is easy because they have so much money. But the interesting thing is, how many times have we seen mega millionaires and lotto winners reach the heights of massive millions only to blow it all up within a few years, or to be one step away from total bankruptcy? Or the other classic for the entrepreneurs out there is, how many times do we see the rich lists come out and place certain entrepreneurs high up on the rich lists with massive company valuations, only to see them actually either tumble a few years later off the rich lists, or if you really understood the background and what was going on, you would see that they're actually, some of them are struggling to keep the dream alive. So the money, although the valuation of the company is massive, maybe the cash flow of their own financial life is not that great. So, money can get blown up very quickly. So there's a real difference between making a lot of money, and having a lot of money. Because when you have a lot of money, your money is working for you, and it's paying you rather than you sort of working for it. So that's obviously the goal that you want to get to. So how do we manage this situation? What I would say is that, first of all, most of us, when we decide that we have this, I don't have enough money, therefore I can't manage it better, immediately what happens there is we, as I said, relinquish responsibility. So it means that we don't really have to go in and look at what's going on. We've just decided that we don't have enough. Often, though, when we actually face up to the problem, and when we the way to clear this block is to actually sit down with yourself one day and to actually go through your finances. Now, I know that's very boring. And I mean, look, I hate doing it too. I absolutely hate doing it because the truth comes out and you think, oh, I should be managing things better. But we all have what I like to call hidden money. And it doesn't matter how strapped for cash you are right now or how much your expenses are killing you. We all have hidden money. And hidden money is the money that we don't notice. It's kind of inconspicuous and it's hiding in all the areas of our lives. So I'll give you a classic example, the supermarket. When you go to the supermarket, the classic one is you think about your shopping bill every week. Excuse me, your shopping bill every week, and you probably allocate, if you are good at budgeting, you probably allocate a certain amount of money for your shopping bill. But when you go to the supermarket, I want you to granularly look at everything that you're buying and ask yourself, if I was more organized at home, would my shopping bill be less? Could I get my shopping bill down? Now, the same applies in your business, because if you're running a business, the classic thing that I see is business owners spending money on things that are not going to drive income. So, for example, flash offices, amazing branding and logo design, brand new computers, new furniture, all these sorts of things, company cars, things like this. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good for your business, because in lots of respects they are. But in the beginning, when you're starting out, or if you're trying to scale a business, you need to be spending the money on the things that are actually going to bring money back. And those are the income producing activities, which is getting out and making sales and marketing. I always say marketing is actually an investment. Now, some people would argue that branding is as well, and that, is true, but I think in the initial stages, you got to be careful spending money on things that maybe aren't the best use of your money. So the point I'm trying to make is that if we the antidote to this particular wealth block is to get really up close and personal with your money. Your money is actually your closest friend in lots of respects, because it's the thing that it has the most impact on your life in lots of ways. So by shunning it and sort of pushing it away and treating it like it's something external from you, you're actually not really taking the responsibility for your own financial life. And the truth is that the time to learn good financial management is when you have hardly any money. Because if you've got bad money practices now, trust me, if you come into a lot of money, if you win it, inherit it, find it, make it, or get it from somewhere else, I don't know where else you can get it from, but when you come into money, and let's assume that you will and you become wealthy, your bad money management practices will come into your world, and they'll stay in your world because you haven't learned how to control them early on. So if you're in a situation now where you're financially strapped, or you're feeling a little bit like, oh, I just can't get out of this mess, I want you to really think about the time to learn good financial management is right now. It's when you have none or hardly any money, let's say, because it teaches you the discipline that you need. And that type of discipline will become very, very, very valuable to you when you start to grow your wealth later on, or as things go by, particularly in business or even with investing. You got to look after the money that you have now. So I'm going to flick over to questions, see do we have any questions. So if you do have a question, there's a chat roll box below this video. If you're on my website, the chat roll box is just below the video. And you can just type your questions in, and we'll have a look to see, do we have any questions today? So we do have one question actually coming in. So Joanna says, what if the amount of money I currently earn is barely enough to even cover my expenses right now? How do I manage it better if I don't even have enough right now? That's a great question, and it kind of follows on from what I was just saying. So that's when you start to turn a blind eye and you say, I don't want to look at it because it's all too hard. So what I want you to do, again, it's getting back to this hidden money question, this situation of having money hiding everywhere. So my question to you would be this: if tomorrow your landlord, let's say you're renting, comes to you and says, we're raising the rent, which happens, right? And it's happening a lot around the world at the moment. So they say they're raising the rent. Then you're going to have to make a decision. How are you going to find the money for that? Are you going to move, or is it too expensive to move? And are you just going to try and funnel money from elsewhere? Similarly, when our gas bills go up or our electricity bills go up, or we get, internet bill, well, internet usually comes down, so that's good, but other bills tend to escalate. And what happens is that we get the big shock, and then we feel upset and annoyed and angry, and then we have to pay it. And then over time we get used to paying it, and we filter the money from elsewhere. So what I want you to start doing is I want you to start thinking about, what if I was to pay myself first? And then all the other bills we have to find money elsewhere for the other bills. So when I say pay yourself first, I'm not talking about going out and buying clothes and shoes and, frivolous things. I'm talking about, getting your own financial life sorted out, making sure that you have like emergency funds and a bit of cash somewhere else. And then what you do is, once you pay yourself first, you take what's left and you figure out, now how am I going to pay all the bills? So you need to think about, strategize. Do you move? Do you move to a cheaper area? Do you cook at home more? Do you potentially go and, you got to think about, and I know this sounds like deprivation, but when you attach it to what your bigger dream is, or your bigger goal of being free, financially free, then potentially you may need to take some pain now in decision making rather than financial pain, which is stressful. So I would just say to you, you got to go through, I'm talking with a fine tooth comb, go through your expenses and start to strategically think, I need to cut somewhere. I need to cut, and just, you're going to find it. You got to look in there. If you've got mortgages, maybe you can remortgage, or you can go in and look at getting your mortgage rate down somehow. Maybe you can look at your insurances, and maybe you're paying too much there, and it's taking responsibility for it really is the key. So if this is an area that's a real problem for you, I want you to have a look at my Get Energized program on my website, which is energizedwealth.com, because I've created a very small little program called Get Energized, which is ideal for the people who sort of have their head in the sand about money and just feel like, me and money are just not friends, and I don't even want to know, and I don't have enough of it, and it annoys me. So the Get Energized program is 4 simple modules, and it'll get you really on the path. So you can head over to energizedwealth.com and look at that Get Energized program there. Of course, if you want to join me next week for the final wealth block I'm going to be talking about next week is the wealth block that you believe that money can't buy you happiness. I know it's very controversial, but we're going to delve right into that on next week's Wealth Unplugged Live. So if you want to be informed about that, simply head over to energizewealth.com/live, and you can sign up to receive the updates just before the hangout next week. And I hope to see you live online with your questions. Get your questions ready, and I'll see you next week.